What's going on, guys? Texas Platinum is back this week with a video. We have Texas coming back home to West Virginia after a frustrating loss to Texas Tech on the road. Texas looks to rebound and set themselves on the right foot before they head into the Red River game next week. So we'll be talking a bit about the Texas Tech game first, kind of recapping all that went wrong in that game. And then we'll be looking ahead to West Virginia and give our keys to the game that we think that could result in a victory. So before we hop into that, though, please like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you're new here. Welcome. We do this on a pretty regular basis now that we're within the season. And even though we slowed down a bit in the off season, we're back here doing pretty regular content. So you can be sure to see all kinds of videos in the upcoming weeks and look back at previous videos as well. So thank you for watching, and hope you enjoy this one. Guys, it was not pretty last weekend.
No.
It started out with promise. Great opening drive. Looked like it was going to be easy. And then it kind of went downhill from there. Myers, let me have you lead it off this time. Kind of give your overall thoughts on the Texas Tech game and ultimately what went wrong that led to us just kind of fumbling the bag.
First of all, it looked a lot like last year, which is so just depressing. I mean, just every year, I wasn't drinking the Kool-Aid this offseason, but then, once we looked good against Bama, I was like, maybe we are improved. Maybe we are. Things are changing. But no, right back to what we were last year. And, just the blown 14-point lead in the second half where we were about to take control of the game. We got that 14-point lead, got a stop on fourth down, and then just right on schedule, our team just becomes incompetent, freaks out, blows the game against all odds. Like, of course, it's viral on Twitter how the win expectancy was like outrageously in favor of Texas, and a miracle happened where Texas blows it. You just knew that. Once it started getting weird in the fourth quarter, like, yeah, this is happening again. And Bijan Robinson fumbling in overtime. You can't get mad at Bijan for that. Bijan, he played a great game, and that'll happen with a player like that. You can't hold it against him. But honestly, a lot of things went wrong with the game. Our defense couldn't stop him, couldn't touch him, couldn't touch Donovan Smith. And just like we said, he's going to look like a Heisman contender possibly. And yep, he did. He looked like Cam Newton or Russell Wilson back there in the pocket, just avoiding pressure and throwing dimes and extending plays, and couldn't get off the field on fourth down, which is just hard to watch over and over again. So yeah, we run the ball too much. Sark's play calling is terrible, or not terrible. It's great. It's really bad with Quinn Ewers, with Hudson Card quarterback. He's very conservative, and clearly whenever we spread it out and let Hudson throw, first of all, we have way better pass block than run block. Second of all, whenever we do run it, it just like they load the box. They have no respect for the pass out of the wildcat or anything like that. So Sark's just lacking creativity right now with Hudson Card. Maybe he knows that Hudson, you can't just air it out with Hudson because Hudson has limitations, but I don't know. I'm just hoping that it was a flash in the pan thing, and once we get Quinn Ewers back, we can start fresh again and go forward. But that was just a disheartening on brand loss from Texas to Texas Tech.
I want to preface my opinion or my thoughts by saying, that was a bad loss, and that was pretty on brand. Like I remember, so I was watching the game alone. My parents went off to do their something, so I was like literally in the pit of despair in my home, like with this like rock in my stomach when it was like, I don't know, like midway through the third, and like we didn't get that one Roshan Wildcat first down. It was like a fourth down. I think we were on their side. I remember being like, oh God, like momentum just kind of shifted right there. I don't know. And you always know in Texas games when you're like, that was it. Like that's all our juice. That's all our juice right there. That's all we have to give. So besides that, and I do think it was a bad loss. I'm not going to try to be the guy that's like, hey, actually, I saw a lot of growth. Blah, 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 blah. No, that was a bad loss. We should have won that game, and we're better than that team. But there are two ways you can approach a loss from Texas, and we've been at this for a decade. You can literally scream at the top of your lungs. You want everyone fired. You want one thing I love seeing is like one singular scapegoat, like just one like it was their fault. In reality, if you want to, I felt like that initially, but after the game, I had time to think about it, and that team and in its current iteration is probably as good as it is. Like, that's a freshman online that just cannot win in the trenches when we really need that kind of push. That's a quarterback who I love. I've been stealing Trevor's line forever, or not forever, but I mean, like, since he's coined it, the bus driver quarterback. He's just a bus driver. Like, that guy, do not ask him to fly the plane. Ask him to drive the bus. Like, I mean, even on the interception, you just see his tendencies. He's late on things. He doesn't process things fast, and he can only hit the receiver downfield if he's wide ass open, kind of how Xavier was on that one touchdown. And then on defense, look, we've said it before in the episode right before the week one. We know who those guys are. Like, we know who those guys are. And we know their limitations. It's frustrating because it's like you see all these other things coming out afterwards, like saying how like we have a solid pass rush, and some of our guys or Tavondre Sweat's like in one of the highest graded in the Big 12, or I think it was the Big 12. And it's like, well, man, I'm not seeing it. But it's more of like a whole scheme team type of thing on defense. That's my main gripe with the, like, if I would just scapegoat one side of it, it'd be that the defense, because they had ample opportunities to win that game. But I have more to say, but that's just the initial thoughts. I think that team was stretched thin. And that's as much as you were going to get out of that.
Yeah. Look, guys, Texas Tech, even though they played a pretty good game, that's not a good team. Like, can we come to the agreement that they're not going to win any more than 7 games?
No, that is not a good
Maybe
team.
even 6.
Absolutely not.
And I've been hearing this week that people are like, oh, Tech might be like, kind of, no, guys, no, that was not a good team. That was a game that that was one of our warm-up games, I feel like, for the Big 12, because West Virginia, even though they started out pretty slow this season, these past couple games they've looked pretty good and are kind of on an upward trajectory. And really from here, once you get into Oklahoma and beyond, with Kansas and Kansas State's rise now, like that may have been our easiest opponent outside of Iowa State. And we just completely fumbled the bag. So it's not a great sign. We're going to see if this team is actually different because, in the past, like last season, whenever something like this happened, it just spiraled out of control and this became a trend game after game after game. So this game ahead against West Virginia is going to be huge. One of the biggest, I think, probably not one of the biggest in Sark's career, but it's going to be like a very big game for this season because it's kind of a crossroads of like, okay, you lost a game, you shouldn't have lost. You lost it by falling apart at the last minute. Yeah, week 2 was also a loss, and you also kind of lost it at the last minute, but it was Alabama. There's, a keynote there. With this game, though, it's an opponent that you should definitely be beating, and it's an in-conference game. So what we do this week will be extremely telling of not only the team that we have, but I think also the coaching staff that we have, and see if we can actually make the adjustments needed. Because I feel like that's one thing that happened in this game that we didn't do a good enough job is I don't think we adjusted appropriately. for a little while, when we were playing, we started to see that, hey, if we pressure the quarterback in this situation, he's not going to be as accurate with the ball. And we were doing that for a while. And then once the second half came around, especially towards the fourth quarter, we stopped pressuring the quarterback, and Tech just went on 3 or 4 consecutive scoring drives, like just long drives. That really didn't even involve too big of plays. There was a lot of dinking and dunking, which is what UTSA did. So that the word is out that to beat Texas, you just got to pass underneath, because their corners are not very good right now. and their safeties are, staying in the backfield and not really pressing up. So you got all this real estate in the middle of the field, and we're getting exposed there for these past few games. Alabama didn't pick that up yet because it was pretty early in the season, but now that that's there, that needs to be fixed. And West Virginia is a a good test, because that's kind of the bread and butter of their offense right now, is a lot of underneath passes. And JT Daniels, even though we'll talk about him, and he is a quarterback that can be thrown off, when you give him time, he's a pretty accurate quarterback. So yeah, it'll definitely be a test this week. But in terms of the Tech game, I don't think we adjusted appropriately within the game. Like we already mentioned, our offense was kind of stale. Started out really great, like it always does with Sark in his opening scripts, but then he became very conservative, especially once Xavier Worthy went down. It became clear that, like, without him, our offense is even more handicapped, and we really don't have the depth at receiver to, make up for the loss of a star like that. Jordan Whittington was being moved around. Other receivers were being rotated. No one could really get it going until, the last drive before overtime, where we did be able to put it into overtime. But yeah, offense, defense needs a lot of work, and we're not in a great spot. Let's talk a little bit more. Let's talk defense from the Tech game real quick, because that seems to be probably the biggest talking point, and then we'll talk offense, because I do think that there's still a lot to get into here with the Tech game before we transition over to West Virginia. Myers, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so our defense, we just couldn't get off the field on Saturday. I think we gave up six fourth down conversions.
Mhm.
Yeah, out of 8.
And also we forced 2 fumbles, one of which was just right there in front of our defense to grab, and I just didn't jump on it. And that's like been a theme this year, that we'll force a fumble, but we cannot recover them for whatever reason. And that's teachable. I'm surprised that these players aren't drilled more on, fumble drills, because whenever that ball's loose, you gotta just go crazy for it. And we're not matching the opponent's intensity there. Yeah, it's just disappointing, man. We have no pass rush from our ends. Like, it's like honestly incredible how we have not had a good pass rusher at defensive end since Joseph Osai, and before him it was nobody before that. The interior of our line's not terrible. Like Sweat and Murphy and Coburn, they're serviceable enough, but like when you have nothing on the edge, it just makes them look really bad. And it's just, I mean, Ethan Burke, Justice Finkley, Jamon Tapp, honestly, just I guess you just got to play them and try to go forward with that, because I mean, what we're getting now is next to nothing. So like what are we waiting for in that sense? And then also, it's been a core issue for this Texas team the last couple of years in the NIL era. I don't know why we don't just go and spend $700,000 on O'Shawn Mathis or somebody like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that, and I'm not saying O'Shawn Mathis is a world beater at Nebraska, because he's not doing that great, but the principle of us, there's a good defensive end on the market and we're going to go get him. And then, oh wait, Nebraska's offering him $500,000. We can't get him. Like, our boosters have money. I just like, are we serious about being better at football? And, certain things like that just make me upset. And yeah, overall, we just made the defense is just, they weren't horrible, but they just gave up down the stretch, and it's hard to blame them. I mean, 100 plays they ran on defense, so those are just like body blows, and they wear on you. And I get like tiring out at the end, but man, like we shouldn't have been in those positions in the first place. And I know the offense sputtered at times too with 3 and outs, which doesn't help the defense. I mean, sustaining offensive drives will help keep them rested and fresh, but there's just not much to congratulate the defense for. Yeah, so that's just some general thoughts on the defense from me. What are your thoughts on the defense of the joke of a defense we have right now, Matt Madrid?
So I don't know if it's like a lack. Maybe they knew this and maybe they don't, but they really should have known that Tech runs like the 3rd most plays in FBS. Like they really should have known that. That was a big deal. And maybe they did with the amount of subbing they did, which is probably out of necessity that we don't have like stars out there. Like we just need like bodies. But also in the Big 12, the best defense is a good offense. So like it's, and then football is cumulative. So like, yeah, like the offense needs to do a better job of just giving them a little bit of rest. Because 100 plays is, damn, that is a lot of fucking plays to be on the field for. So in part, at least in my view, I don't blame the defense too much towards the end, because I couldn't tell you how I couldn't tell you. I've never been that tired, and I'm sure I'll never be that tired. So those are just initial thoughts. So I don't know if they knew that, and hopefully they did, but that's a big thing to pass up and not know about your opponent. One thing that I thought was notable in Sark's presser on Monday was that I love Sark sometimes. He gives criticism without actually like calling anyone out, which I think is probably a healthy thing to do to keep morale up and keep people working for you. But he goes, our defensive scheme, I don't know how I forgot how he mentioned this, but he said it wasn't matching the coverage. And what I gathered from that was like, what we were doing, rushing the passer wise, wasn't matching what we were doing with our secondary. And that makes a lot of sense because like I mentioned earlier, like this defense has improved. Granted, it wasn't too hard to improve from last year, but it has improved. And somehow we do pressure the quarterback. At least that's what the stats say. But we don't get a lot of sacks. That's the thing. We have like 44 pressures in this game. So like there is pressure like coming. We're just gonna get to him. But when he says it doesn't match the coverage, it's because we play that soft coverage. So yeah, they're getting to the quarterback, but they're getting open like way too fast. Like there's no, like that secondary isn't helping when they can give up 5, 6, 7 yard completions. Like sure, we got to the quarterback or we pressured the quarterback, doesn't matter. The ball is out. And then when we can't get to the quarterback, nothing hurts me more than seeing a quarterback being able to direct traffic with his offhand, be like, yeah, stop, boo, come here. Come on, man. Like those are the worst. That's when you know you're not getting pressure. And look, props to Donovan Smith. Bro's not a good quarterback. Like I'm telling you, he's really not. It's just he had so much time when we weren't getting there. But yeah, I think that's something PK needs to address immediately because the coverage part. It is unacceptable in the Big 12, at least, to be giving up that much like short passes. I'm sorry. Like every team can do that in the Big 12. Every team can dink and dunk. Like at the very least, they have the athletes to do that. And we can't just let them do that. And then the obvious is you got to win 4th downs, and you can't. When it is 3rd and forever, you cannot get a penalty, dog. You cannot get a penalty. Like we gave up. I think it was 2 PIs. Or yeah, there was 2 3rd and long plays. The first one, or at least one of them, was we jumped off sides, and then we made it a 3rd and manageable that they got. And then the other one, I think we jumped off sides, and then and then we freaked out on the long ball and like just tackled. We didn't play the ball and just tackled the receiver. It's like, man, turn your goddamn head around, son. Yeah. Where are you going? Turn your head around. I don't know. Are they not teaching them that either?
They haven't taught them that for.
I know. I was like, what is Terry Joseph doing? But like, I don't know. Our DBs haven't really turned their head around. I don't know. I feel like that's an easy thing to remember. But yeah, main thing, at least for the defense, is it needs to the offense. What the defensive line is doing needs to match what the secondary is doing, and vice versa. They're right now in contrast, and they're just making each other's jobs that much harder. And also, I'm sorry, I'm going a little too far on the defense, but I really think this is the main reason we lost. If you're not getting pressure with your linemen, I'm gonna have to ask you. And especially when it's a quarterback that is turnover prone and shaky, you need to. I don't care if it makes you guys go one-on-one. This guy can get pressured. Pressure him. Throw every kind of exotic blitz you got. Like, just do it. I don't understand the reluctance to like don't want to make our job harder too much on the second. It's already hard, man. Like, just send them. Make something different, because the quarterback is just sitting there in the fourth quarter untouched. So yeah, that's my defensive thoughts.
Yeah, we're dropping 8 like in key moments, like on third down with no pass rush.
It's like, okay, I guess like it's almost surprising. It's like, yeah, I mean, DBs, even the best DBs in the world cannot hold forever, man. Like, you got to get in the quarterback's face. I don't know. I just look. I know the NFL and college are different, but if you look at last night and what the Cowboys did with Daniel Jones on key downs, they were in his face because he screws up. Everyone knows when Daniel Jones gets pressure, he screws up and throws picks and he fumbles and he takes sacks. He's holding on to the ball too long. That's what you got to do with quarterbacks that are unproven, man. Like, not every quarterback we can go against is Bryce Young. You know what I mean? Like, you can evade every pressure all the pressure in the world you can bring. Some quarterbacks legitimately get scared in the pocket when they have someone barreling down on them, and you have to force them to make a throw that's on the run or off center. I just don't understand why. Like, you got to take risks when things aren't, like, when the vanilla is not working. So, yeah.
Offensive thoughts. I'll hand it back over to you guys.
Go ahead, Matt.
I just think that Sark in his mind has created this identity that he wants us to have. I don't know if it's just Quinn's out or not. We want to be a smash mouth, run the ball, assert our will on these teams type of offense.
Yeah.
Run on first down, run on second down, which is really just nothing like we've been under Sark until these last couple of games, starting with Bama when Quinn went down. And even when Quinn was in, we didn't pass as much as we should. But I don't know. I mean, it's clear that the interior of our offensive line has issues with run block, especially with Cole Hudson, Jake Majors. See, Jake Majors is just a small. He's like, the moment we signed Jake Majors, like, you could tell this kid. This is a kid. Like, this is not a man. I mean, that sounds messed up to say.
No, you're right.
Kid body, I'll say. Kid body, and we're still feeling those. The repercussions of that 4 years later or 3 years, however long he's been here. He's just not going to move people the way that you need people to be moved when you're trying to run down the middle every play. And then offensively, okay, we need to pass the ball more, obviously. We need to spread them out. I mean, the first drive was so nice. We spread them out. Our tackles held in pass pro. They can't load the box. And then our athletes on the outside go in and win one-on-one. And then Hudson made some throws. And then we just kind of didn't do that as much until the end when we had to go score real quick to hit that Burt Auburn field goal. Then we spread them out and move the ball down the field. So hopefully Sark learns from that. And I know he will. Sark's a really bright offensive mind. And he's a humble guy. So I feel like he will adjust and start implementing that going forward. And then, so aside from passing the ball more, we need to throw that Wildcat package away or add a lot of branches off of it, because as it currently stands, it's just like a free stop for the defense, because they just put everybody in the box, because we're only doing two things, rather going straight down the middle or pulling it on the edge. So they can just put all 9 guys in the box right there and just crowd the middle and the edges.
And Hudson's on the wide receiver, so you just bring another receiver. Like, you don't even worry about Hudson. Just bring the guy closer to the line.
No, seriously, yeah. Like that fourth down conversion, they stopped us, I think. Hudson was wide open. They didn't even respect him. Like, you could just throw a little. Roshan can throw the ball 5 yards to the flat. Like,
Hudson can catch a ball.
Yeah.
He was a receiver.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll forget that. But no, that's, yeah.
We're just making it too easy on these defensive coordinators. And that's surprising because Sark's usually so good at putting defensive coordinators in horrible spots. So hopefully Quinn comes back this week and we kind of go back to the old Sark Texas offense where it's just, wheeling and dealing. There's just deep bombs and then RPO game. The RPO game is like non-existent right now. I mean, not to say Hudson can't run it because he's made some throws through it. I mean, he's not as good as Quinn at it, but that's so good at freezing those linebackers coming downhill and the nickels and the DBs. So just it's very frustrating, honestly. And I get like I said, I guess Sark doesn't have full trust in Hudson Card. He doesn't want Hudson Card to start, gunslinging it because Hudson Card is also turnover prone and can get rattled as well. But I mean, what we're doing is not, you can't go 3 and out. You just can't go 3 and out. Like in today's day and age, especially with our fragile defense
and not in the Big 12.
Yes, and not in the Big 12 with these good offenses. And then not only is our defense like fragile, but like mentally they're very fragile. I mean, these are a bunch of kids that have lost their entire lives, like their entire careers in Texas. They've lost, they've blown leads, they've never had success. Let's call it like it is. So when you go 3 and out, and then the game starts wearing on them when they're playing 100 plays, like it's in their DNA to quit and just lose the game, blow the game. Like I'm losing probably doesn't hurt them that much, honestly. And like as a fan, like losing hurts less and less too. Like it's not just them. Like I'm used to it now. Like apathy is setting in. So it's just things need to be changed. Hopefully Sark offensively can just open it up. Just say screw it. We're not winning right now, anyways. We're not putting up huge numbers, so let's just start just getting creative, going wild with it. But yeah, anything else on the offense, Trevor?
No, I think you touched on it. I mean, looking ahead, and we're going to touch on it here in a bit once we switch over to West Virginia. But yeah, again, Quinn and Xavier are like 2 of 3 pillars between Quinn, Xavier, and Bijan to the offense. And unfortunately, we're a team that's building and is far from a finished product in terms of the recruiting base that Sark is building up. And right now, we just don't have a lot of really good depth, or maybe not bad depth, but not well developed.
Not good depth.
Not good.
Not like trustworthy depth. There's depth of talent, but not like execution. Exactly.
And yeah, as soon as Xavier went out, our deep ball threat was completely gone, and no receivers could ultimately step up. I think that Whittington has the ability to, because he's been such a great security blanket whenever Xavier is in, like he pretty much always catches the ball and gets first downs when needed. But when he was the number 1 receiver, and I don't know if it's his fault as much as it is Sark's or Hudson's. It's probably a combination of the 3, but like he was nowhere to be found for like half the game once Xavier went out. So yeah, we just gotta step it up, I think, is really the simple answer here, at least offensively. Step it up, and Sark's got to step it up with the play calling and just move on from what's not working. Because and again, like Myers said, I think part of this is that Quinn is not starting, and I'm very curious to see what happens whenever he comes back, and if that's just going to change everything, or if we're just going to continue to encounter these same woes. So with that, let's switch over to West Virginia. Myers, kind of give us a brief scouting report of the Mountaineers this season, which seem to be always changing as a team these days. I never know what to expect out of them other than that there's a still around.
Yeah, West Virginia, we all saw that first game of the year, the backyard brawl on Thursday, where they played Pitt, and then they lost that close game, that rivalry game. But then they went on to beat Towson like in a cupcake. They lost to Kansas at home in overtime in a game that they were leading by a decent margin, kind of blew it. So looking back in retrospect, Kansas is actually kind of good now. So not as bad of a loss as it appeared when it first happened, because whenever that happened, we're like, oh yeah, West Virginia sucks. Neil Brown's about to be fired. But Kansas is actually kind of good now. And then last week they played on a Thursday, and they beat Virginia Tech on the road, a rival, by 23 points. So that's an impressive one. I know Virginia Tech's not a world beater, but to go win in that environment in Blacksburg is not easy, especially in a rivalry game. So they definitely have some momentum now after a slow start to the year. And yeah, I mean, they're led by JT Daniels, the gunslinger, played at USC and DKR years ago, if y'all remember that, and kind of tore us up as a freshman. And then was at Georgia, and then Stetson Bennett happened, and he got injured and all that. So ends up at West Virginia, and he's got some weapons out there. I mean, Bryce Ford Wheaton, he's their best receiver, I would say, by a wide margin. Him and Sam James, and then also Prather. Those are three really good receivers they have on the outside that will shred us up if we give JT Daniels more than 4 or 5 seconds in the pocket, which we probably will, sadly. But yeah, and then they got good running backs. CJ Donaldson, I'll let Matt Madrid hype up that man, but they have good players on offense. And defensively, I will say Dante Stills and Lee Kapobga, I don't know how to say his last name. Those are their two best players on defense by a wide margin. I mean, those two guys are scary looking. So as far as our offense, this is not a defense that we can just run the Wildcat, first down, second down, and then pass. I think we're going to convert. It's not. So, yeah, West Virginia, they're in like a wounded animal mode too, because if they lose this game, then they're 2-3 or whatever. So this really is kind of like an elimination game, I would say, in the Big 12 race, because it technically probably isn't, but it feels a lot like that, especially for us. If we lose to West Virginia, we're at 2-3 going into OU, and our team probably quits at that point. So huge game for us. West Virginia, Neil Brown's coaching for his career right now, so he's gonna have those boys ready to come into Austin and try to get the win. So yeah.
So quick thoughts. I'm only familiar with the best two freshmen in the nation in CJ Donaldson. Recruited as a tight end. He's like 200. He's huge, bro. He's like two. I want to say 250, but he's like bigger than your average college running back. He has like, I want to say only like, I know in the group chat I said like 30 carries, 400 yards, but no, it's more like only 70, 50-ish carries, but like 400 yards. That guy is a house threat every single time he touches the ball, because not only is he fast, he breaks a ton of tackles with that size he has. And I think most people only saw him in the backyard brawl where he did show out. But as of late, the West Virginia staff has been giving him more touches, and compared to their incumbent running back, who is actually good in his own right. But CJ Donaldson is so ahead of schedule, and unfortunately probably is going to be on transfer portal watch next year, just because that guy's too good to be at West Virginia, man. But yeah, that's the main guy I'm worrying about, and the only reason I know so much about him is because I have him in fantasy, and I'm very excited to have him. But I think Matt touched on the main keys to victory here. And I think Trevor mentioned earlier that this team is like the same kind of dink and dunk team, and they don't really go deep that often. So that's going to be another thing to see if we finally adjust to that. However, I will bring your attention to Quinn Ewer's latest Instagram story. It's nothing. It could be nothing. It could be nothing. But today is his Bible verse. I love a quarterback that posts a Bible verse. I just know this guy's serious. You know what I mean? He cares about the game. I love a good country boy quarterback. However, it is the anniversary of Tim Tebow's promise speech, who is a big proponent, and Tim Tebow himself was a big proponent of, the John 3:16 verse, classic Bible verse that we all know. And that is the Bible verse that Quinn put on his story. I don't know if he's one for cryptic messages, but I would love any sign to show that he is ready to come back because we need him. Look, Hudson Card is good enough to win a game. He is. He's good enough to win a game. However, he's good enough when all the pieces around him are good too. Quinn is good enough to go win you games. I know this. I believe this with the bottom of my heart. I saw the talent with my own eyes. You can't deny that from me. He is special. I really hate being like, oh, this recruit, this guy, this is our savior, because it's a football team. It takes a team. However, this guy, Quinn, is good enough to even to do that, even if we didn't need him to do that, if that makes sense. He'll do it on his own. So we desperately need this young man back, just to infuse some life into us and infuse some grit, because I truly believe he brings an energy to the team that unfortunately Hudson can't. There's not like a star power, like, get behind me, let's go do it. And I know I'm talking big for a guy that's only played a game and a quarter, but you saw it already. You saw the glimpses already, and you saw how the team's attitude was around him. So we're in desperate need of that, and we're in desperate need of Xavier to be healthy as well. So that's my thoughts.
I like him. Let's go into keys to the game. I know that we kind of just hinted at that, but outside of obviously having Quinn Ewers back, and either of y'all feel free to hop in, but what do we think offensively and defensively we need to do in order to win this game, and what adjustments need to be made?
Okay, defensively, let's start there. So Texas Homer tweeted out a couple hours ago that West Virginia, like Madrid just said, they love the short, quick passes, the quick game, which has killed us with UTSA and Texas Tech and Bryce Young down the stretch against Bama. We could not stop the quick game, mainly because we play off so far off the ball continually, no matter what. So we need to definitely press. I don't care if they beat us over the top. I mean, honestly, like, we have not been beat over the top all season. I can't remember. Maybe that one play against UTSA where, but that was a flag. And then either way, we need to press, make them throw it downfield, make them hold the ball longer. Hopefully our pass rush can get home as a result. So that's one key to the game. Another key to the game is getting off the field on fourth down, because in that tweet, Texas Homer also said that they go for it more than pretty much I don't know if it said the most in the country, but a very high rate they go for it on fourth down, kind of like Texas Tech did last week. They just did not punt, and that killed us. That's why the metrics were all screwed up, because if they would have punted like normal teams punt last week, we probably would have won that game. But the fact they
easily
didn't, and we couldn't get off the field, like, just made all the metrics just way out of whack, and then we lost. So, and you know what, Neil Brown and them are watching this film. They know, they're smart. They want to win. They're going to do exactly what Texas Tech did. The little quick game, the go for it on fourth down, and then just try to wear us out, and then load the box. Defensively for them, offensively for us, they're going to load the box. They're not scared of the wild row package at all. I mean, they're going to enjoy seeing it. So it's up to Sark to be creative with it, and make them just uncomfortable, because these teams are just too comfortable against us these last couple of weeks. So two main keys I would say right now: get off the field on fourth down and press on defense. If they beat us over the top, they beat us over the top. At least our defense gets some rest then, because they scored in 3 plays. So none of these 15 play drives to start off the first quarter. It's something's got to give. So hopefully we just end up starting just going for it and just pressing and just changing the narrative, honestly.
Madrid?
Yeah, 2 things. One on defense, one on offense. Defense, if we're not getting pressure with our line, which I promise you we won't, or not pressure, sacks. If we're not getting to the quarterback and knocking him down, please send blitzes. Just any type of blitzes. I don't even care if they don't work. I just want them to know that we're coming and that we're that were in his face. I don't want the quarterback to feel like he has all the time in the world. So just please, PK, just try something different in that regard. And obviously the soft coverage, but I don't know. That's just kind of his deal. We'll see if he changes that. And then offensively, if it's Hudson Card out there, do not regulate this offense to just running the ball and him handing it off. He needs to be some kind of threat with throwing the ball. And granted, it doesn't need to be deep 15-yard outs. He's not Quinn. He can't do that stuff. That's fine. However, spread them out and get the ball in the hands of our playmakers and let them work in space. I feel like the reason we love Sark so much is that he gets the ball in his hands of his playmakers and gets them in space. Where they have like 5 yards to just run full speed. I feel like during the game he just stopped doing that. Like we got really less. We had no creativity at all, and that really puzzled me because I feel like you could still be creative even with lesser talent, just by virtue of getting the ball out fast to a receiver. Granted, I know Xavier dropped that one ball. That was gonna be a house call right there. He takes off and he's at least burning 20 yak yards right there. So yeah, just easy dub plays that get you that can like turn into chunk plays just because of our athletes are good in space. So those are the two main things for me.
Agreed. I say just play calling wise on both defense and offense. I think that's really where the key lies, is just calling those right plays and being aggressive throughout the game. Get the ball to your playmakers. Jatavian Sanders, we really haven't.
Where has he been?
We haven't used him in these past few games. Brennan Thompson, like, does he even exist? Keelan Robinson had a great start to the game, and then he disappeared. So there's plenty of guys that you can be feeding the ball to that have the talent and the speed and the skills to get us through, even if Xavier is not out there. And we just got to start using them. So I think this is a must-win game in my opinion, and let's play like it, and defensively, I kind of echo everything that you guys said, and think that press will be important, that we do that. And just be ready, because again, I think if we can get to, or at least pressure JT Daniels, I think that we will affect him, because even though he is pretty good, when you don't pressure him and can make those great throws, I think under pressure, like we saw in the USC game, granted he was a freshman, that was like his second start, but he definitely was affected, and I think we can affect him again. Score predictions. Let's finish this bad boy out. Who wants to start it off? Madrid, how about you?
Yeah, okay. So as of right now, as we record this, it's 11-point spread. I don't believe in spreads anymore. Those are college football spreads are whack. I don't understand them anymore. I don't know where they get at least early season. I don't know where they get their predictions from like that. So 11-point spread. I think it'll be closer. Obviously, if it's Hudson out there, it's gonna be another Texas Tech where you're just like, hold on. However, I got us. See, you know what? Now I put this score down when we were preparing for this, and I didn't pick a winner because I don't know about you guys, but I have rarely been right about who wins the games when I get the score kind of close sometimes. I think we all do get the score kind of close sometimes. But when it comes to picking winners, man, I swear it's the opposite every single time. And you know what? We should beat them, right? We should beat them. But like, what gives me confidence that we actually are going to beat them? So 31-27, we lose.
Oh,
we lose.
Oh no,
That's
low scoring too.
Yeah. However, that's if Hudson plays.
Okay.
if Hudson plays. So I don't have a score prediction if Quinn plays. I'm just hoping for the best.
Well, that's all right, because Myers and I think, are anticipating Quinn's play
Okay, good.
based
Good.
off of the scores that I see in front of us. Myers, go ahead.
So I have us at 41-38. Similar to Madrid, I didn't know who was going to win when I typed that out, but I guess assuming Quinn Ewers plays, I think he will. I mean, Sark at this point, you need to win this game. So and Quinn looks pretty good in pregame, so he's ready to go. He's going to play. Texas will win this game 41-38, but it's just going to be one of those games where I think it's going to be rusty for Quinn, because it's going to be kind of like the ULM game, just shaking off the rust. He's not going to light it on fire like he did against Bama. I think maybe next week against OU, Quinn can finally come back to Quinn Ewers full form. But I think it's going to be a sloppy game. I think it's going to be a game where we're losing for a lot of the game, but I think it's going to be kind of a flip of the script where in the fourth quarter, our defense steps up, our offense steps up, we start running the ball, and we kind of win the game in the fourth quarter, which is we've never done. So I'm hoping that happens this week, which would be a big step for us because we've been doing the exact opposite. So I hope we win a close game in the fourth quarter where we come from behind, just to like get this mental crap out of our kids' heads. It's getting so old. So hopefully we like undo the mental block this week against West Virginia and win a close one, 41-38.
Yeah, Myers and I's scores are pretty damn similar. I got 41-35, us winning by a touchdown. I, however, kind of see us, like, I feel like kind of following what we typically do, where we get out on top, Sark comes out on fire, the fans are all excited. It's a night game in Austin, but then kind of let West Virginia back into the game. However, I think that I'm hoping and I'm kind of banking that defensively we make some adjustments and we're able to finally force a turnover, whether that be a fumble that we actually recover or an interception from JT Daniels, something to prevent them from ultimately tying or winning the ball game. So I have us winning by a touchdown, high scoring affair. I too kind of see it as potentially a sloppy game, but I anticipate that, like we said, West Virginia needs this game equally. So it's going to be a full on dogfight here. But yeah, I have us holding on and winning. I anticipate that Quinn's going to start, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if he didn't, because he hasn't thus far, and Sark isn't really giving us any answers. So let's see. And I'm very curious about Xavier Worthy. It wouldn't shock me if he stays out for this game too and gets right for OU. So just my thoughts, but it'll be a big game. I'm feeling a little nervous about it after last week, but we'll see what happens with this team, and if we've truly progressed in the way that the players keep saying that they have, it's their time to show us as fans that, hey, we've made big strides here, and last week was just a big slip up, and that they got it. So, any other final thoughts?
OU is after this, right?
OU's after this.
Okay. And Quinn has been in pads the past 2 games. Yeah, he has to play. I do not want his first game to be OU. So
No, I agree.
All right.
Myers?
Yeah, Texas Tech, I don't want to play y'all anymore. So
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
Good riddance.
Have fun with UCF.
Yes. All right. With all that said, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you're new here and continue to keep coming back to our videos. We love to see it. We'll be interacting with you in the comments. Y'all take care. Welcome.